This is Plant-Based Briefing. Should cats and dogs eat cows and chickens? And farmed versus cultured meat, the shocking environmental costs. From becauseanimals.com, and I'm Marian Erickson, host of this curated content plant-based podcast, where I narrate a variety of articles with permission on plant-based, eco-friendly, and compassionate living. And today's post is from Because Animals. They're a small company with a big mission to make the most sustainable and nutritious food for dogs and cats on the planet without ever harming any animals or the environment. So now let's get to today's plant-based briefing. Should cats and dogs eat cows and chickens? And farmed versus cultured meat, the shocking environmental costs, from becauseanimals.com. Should cats and dogs eat cows and chickens? In the wild, would a dog really hunt a cow? And would a cat actually prey on a chicken? Not likely, yet most of us never question why our pets' foods are primarily made from beef and poultry. The fact is, dogs and cats didn't naturally evolve eating farmed animals. We only feed them beef, chicken, turkey, lamb, fish, and other common farmed animal proteins because they're the most easily accessible and cheapest available options left over from the human food chain. And depressingly, leftovers is a nice way of saying animal tissue waste from slaughterhouses that is not fit for human consumption, and a whopping 50% of a farmed animal is deemed inedible by people. What's really in your pet's food? Ultimately, the use of rendered animal waste as ingredients in pet food means the following undesirable ingredients are also in your dog's and cat's bowls. 4D meat, dead, dying, deceased, and disabled animals, animal byproducts like feet, heads, viscera, etc., listeria, salmonella, and E. coli, pentobarbital, antibiotics, growth hormones, and a recent report showed that 100% of the ground beef from farmed animals tested positive for fecal bacteria. Pet allergies. Additionally, these farmed animal proteins have become the top food allergens in pets. The most common allergens for cats are beef, fish, chicken, wheat, corn, and dairy products, all ingredients commonly included in commercial pet food. The top allergens for dogs are beef, dairy products, chicken, wheat, and lamb. Our cultured meat. Because Animals is taking a safer, healthier approach to feeding cats and dogs by culturing the protein sources that were the main source of nutrition in their origin diets. For cats, we are creating cultured mouse treats. We know that some of you may find this an odd choice, but in the wild, cats evolved as predatory animals with their main food sources being mice, rats, rabbits, small birds, and insects. Virtually no commercial cat foods exist featuring these ingredients. For dogs, we are culturing rabbit. Rabbit is not known to be a common allergen and is often chosen for limited ingredient diets for dogs with allergies. Significantly, Because Animals' cultured mice and cultured rabbit meat is grown humanely instead of coming from a slaughtered animal born and raised on a factory farm. And another really cool thing about our cultured meat is that we can grow it in a way that maximizes the nutritional profile. So instead of having to add all of the vitamins and minerals back to the meat, as is needed with current commercial pet food, just take a look at any pet food ingredient label and you'll see the long list. Our meat already contains all of the nutrients your pet needs to thrive. In short, our cultured meat pet food means pet parents can feed their dogs and cats the diets they evolved eating instead of the leftovers from factory farm supply, all without harming any other animals or the planet. Farmed versus cultured meat, the shocking environmental costs. April 1st marks the official start of Earth Day chatter around the world, which makes it a great time to talk about the Because Animals' mission to create slaughter-free pet food using cultured meat. We won't mince words. Animal agriculture is bad for the planet. It's the leading cause of climate change, habitat destruction, and the exploitation of fisheries, forests, and other resources. Did you know? Animal agriculture, specifically factory farming, accounts for 18% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions, making it among the single largest contributors, which is a share higher than all modes of transportation combined. Factory farming is the largest source of water pollution. Land used for animal feed, grazing, and keeping farmed animals accounts for 41% of the United States' nearly 800 million acres. Less than 20% is used as croplands. The crops grown to feed industrially reared animals worldwide could feed an extra 4 billion people on the planet. And in terms of pet food, more than a quarter of the environmental effects of the animal agriculture industry are directly attributable to the foods that Americans feed their cats and dogs. And intensive agriculture systems, which take up more space and resources than any other industry in the U.S., have stifled biodiversity of crops and animals and indirectly destroyed wildlife habitats. Cultured meat has none of those problems. Culture-grown meat has none of those problems because it is meat grown without raising or slaughtering animals. It is grown in a way that is similar to how tissue develops in an animal, except that cultured meat begins with a small collection of animal cells that are grown in a nutrient-rich environment outside the animal. What this means is no raising, housing, feeding, or slaughtering of animals. And that ultimately means preserving precious resources such as water, land, electricity, and time. See the chart below for the staggering numbers. Environmental costs of 430 pounds of beef. For farmed meat, it takes 3 million liters of water, 9,200 kilowatts of energy, 540 days' time, and 7,300 square meters of land. For cultured meat, it takes only 1,700 liters of water, 6,500 kilowatts of energy, only 14 days' time, and only 0.8 square meters of land. Cultured meat has the same nutritional value and composition as animal-based meat. It is, in fact, meat. Though in contrast to traditional meat, our cultured meat is grown without the use of antibiotics or growth hormones, and without animal suffering and slaughter, and it doesn't cause environmental damage. Cultured meat will also be free of disease, which is a significant point in light of the current COVID-19 situation. Intense, large-scale confinement of animals pose a public health threat by increasing the potential to spread emerging zoonotic diseases, either viral or bacterial, such as COVID-19, SARS, MERS, avian flu, swine flu, and more, to humans. Bottom line, easing our reliance on animals in the food system will have wide-reaching benefits, including a massive reduction to a very large ecological footprint. Now is the time to support this change. We can't waste another minute. You just listened to Should Cats and Dogs Eat Cows and Chickens? And Farmed versus Cultured Meat, The Shocking Environmental Costs, from becauseanimals.com. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson, and this is Plant-Based Briefing. And if you want to hear more about cultured meat pet food, check out episodes 193 and 211. I'll link those in the show notes, as well as a link to the original post, as always. And please share this episode with anyone who might benefit, and thanks for listening.